Hello, my name is Rose, and welcome to The Real Truth. So, when I first saw these horrible accusations against Russell Brand, my first question was, could this be true? In this episode, we are going to delve deep and analyze all the facts and evidence and answer this question. Could these allegations be true, or did the mainstream media fake evidence against Russell Brand? So let's find out. Here's what Russell Brand had to say about him on his own channel from his own mouth, and then we'll take a look at what he's being accused of exactly and what evidence they have to back this up.
Times dropped an expose on actor and comedian Russell Brand. In it, they detail 4 women's stories that allege criminal behavior against the actor. Horrific stuff that actor Russell Brand is vehemently denying. He denied all the allegations in a video that he posted to YouTube before the allegations even dropped, blaming the mainstream media for attempting to shut him down due to his recent political beliefs. Obviously, this has divided the internet. It's only going to get uglier. Let me go through what we know so far. I want to break it down. Here is the video Russell Brand posted first.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received 2 extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But
I didn't see that in the article, for the record.
Amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks.
No, but it was actually in the video that was posted with the article, which I can cite, where they talk about him being a champion of misinformation as well as conspiracy theories. So yes, it was referenced in the Channel 4, I don't know if that was like a documentary or video, but it was explicitly stated. So that is a fact, and I'll include that in my next video.
Some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan, when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language.
For those that don't know what he's talking about Joe Rogan and his use of psychedelic medicine. The fact that the mainstream, despite overwhelming scientific evidence of its medicinal uses, has time and time again stood against the use of psychedelic medicine because they know about how it's mind expanding and healing properties. And regardless of whether or not you like Joe Rogan, which I don't particularly do, it is pretty clear that the mainstream narratives were against him and attempted to cancel him. That part was clear, regardless of whether or not you like Joe Rogan. So like I said, independent of my opinion or subconscious bias, there is truth. And regardless of what I think, the truth will always reign supreme.
I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a...
Everyone was saying that, myself included, and I think I made comments about that. About how I had wondered just a few weeks ago about how the mainstream would come for him, and I wondered why they hadn't at this point, because while he has made some good allies, he has made extremely powerful enemies. And it's becoming all the more evident why.
Of articles. Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist. Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack.
Okay, well, I'm waiting for that evidence. I am still, before I can defend or condemn. I just have no opinion right now.
I'm waiting for that.
I'm waiting for that evidence. It still hasn't come.
Now,
well, this just happened. And I'm sure he's getting advice from his legal counsel about what he can and cannot disclose. But yes, I'm actually waiting for the evidence from the article itself. Either witnesses, credible texts that are not faked and doctored, or anything of the like.
I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Stay free. Now look, he's saying a lot of things that are true. That's the problem here, right? Because he's right. The mainstream media likes to attack people. It's done it to me. It does it to a lot of people. It's done it to a lot of people we've defended, right? We have to be careful in these stories. Of course, we have to always presume innocence. That's how it works, and that's what should be happening here.
What I saw was a lot of testimony and no evidence.
However, there's one I really want to focus on that to me is the most damning evidence, right? Because I like evidence. We all should be on evidence. And that's with the woman, her name in this story, they used a fake name, was Nadia. Now, when Nadia posted her story and told about this story, she shared a text message. Now, in the story, she shares more, but the text message that was shared by, it's right here, was supplied by the Graphic Times. Clearly, sorry, you guys can't see that, I realize. Hold on, let me make sure this graphic was clearly provided or created by the Times. Now, because of that, and because this weird copy looks blurry, everyone just immediately rushed to say, fake, fake, see, it was a hit piece, it's a fake text. Now, if you had...
It's not a blurry copy. That is specifically the copy that was supplied as the evidence in the Sunday Times piece, just to be clear.
Read the piece. It wasn't just the text. They made it clear that they verified the text. And look, I am going to give the Times here a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, because if they really are doing all this egregiously with faking text and all of this, well, then it's a slam dunk win for Mr. Brand, and good for him. He should. If this is all nonsense, if these texts are fake, and this is a coordinated attack, and this is all bullshit, then he absolutely should have every right. Him and his agents and his team should be suing this network to kingdom come. That's what I...
And he should. Now let's get to what these texts actually say.
So this is an absolute bombshell that proves that at least one piece of quote-unquote proof against Russell Brand was either faked outright or was manipulated, and that was never disclosed by the Time and the Sunday Times. Now you'll notice a couple of red line edits. Those are mine, but the rest of this was presented as one solid piece of texting. Well, you'll notice here that there's cut and paste jobs. In fact, there's a few of them here. You have dates missing and more, and on top of that, they present this in a way that it's not framed. It's not saying what they say it's saying. So you have problems here with the story. You have problems with what they present. You and I, we're going to talk about all of that today. And this really is crazy times. This is crazy times indeed. So we're going to spend some time examining this. Why? Because this has been utilized as proof of a developing story. A story that points the finger at Russell Brand that just dropped on Saturday, 9/16/2023, and the media and so many others have already said he's guilty. And here's the proof. Now, when you look at this, first, we want to look at the context, because the way that this was presented, forgive the red line edits, by the way, those are indeed mine, but the way this is presented, it's presented as proof that somebody had the worst thing happen to them. They were accosted. They had to go to a center and get some help. Yeah. That's not what it says at all. And I'll point out the errors in the thing where this is either faked or manipulated as we go forward. So this says, after I'm going to use the word accosting instead of that other A word that they like. Hal Brand texted, sorry to Nadia. Again, they use this as a no means no, and they utilize this as him apologizing. Therefore, he's guilty. So you notice this starts out here, July 1st, 2012, 3:29 a.m. Russell Brand says, I'm sorry. That was crazy and selfish. I hope you can forgive me. I know that you're a lovely person. X. Now, 7.5 hours later, July 1st, 2012 at 10:59 a.m., you have this come in. You scared the bleep out of me. Now, you're right. I am a lovely person, and for you to take advantage of me like that is unexpectable. That's what it says, unexpectable. You have a problem. You need help. It's dangerous that you think you can get your way all the time. Do you know how scary you are when that glazed look comes over you? Now, here's a problem. This is when it pops up, and you're going to have this misrepresented. So I'll talk about misrepresentation first. When a girl says no, it means no. Now remember, this is a conversation from 2012. This isn't from the certain hashtag movement era, but do I have to go and get myself tested? Last time you asked me, I'm going to say protection or no protection. When I say protection, that doesn't mean it's optional. You don't have the best reputation. I pride myself on being safe and trying to make the right decisions. Obviously, this was a bad one. I'm so disappointed. Now, when you look at that, first of all, that is about the use of protection. That is not about no means no, which has a specific connotation, especially in this day and age, which is a totally different topic. But the Times, the Sunday Times, Channel 4, they present this as undeniable proof that, well, he did something horrible. This person had to go to a crisis center, get assistance, when really this is about getting themselves checked out.
There's numerous inconsistencies with this. The first thing that stood out to me as a logical thinking person and as a woman is, first, the conversation is they try to paint it out to be him having accepted his role in raping her. But what I'm reading in the text, it sounds like someone who had consensual sex with someone and is angry that he didn't use a condom. Even let's say that this is real, because we have reason to believe that it's not, and it's sort of proven. I will prove next that this has been faked. Taking it as if it were real, the conversation pertains to, she said, when a girl says no, it means no. Do I have to go and get myself tested? Last time you asked me condom or no condom. When I say protection, that doesn't mean it's optional. And her last sentence, I'm so disappointed. I'm going to tell you, as a woman and as a survivor of abuse myself for many years, I would never tell my aggressive assaulter and rapist, I'm so disappointed. I probably would be terrified and not want to talk to him at all, but I certainly wouldn't be talking about using protection or not. I would have been talking about the fact that he abusively assaulted me. So just that gave me pause. And then what I found out next, I think made it pretty clear, and even Andy Signor himself made it pretty clear that if the evidence has been faked, if it's been doctored, if it's been made up, then there's no credibility to the story whatsoever. Which brings me to that umbrella guy, who really has had the most thorough analysis that I've seen. I tend to agree with like almost all of his opinions. And we agree on this as well, because there seems to be inconsistencies. And, you know, he's not even someone who has followed Russell Brand closely. So it's not even about what he represents for him. It's simply about the facts. And the facts are this.
Now, when you look at this, too, this is not disclosed at all that there are any edits, but when you look at that, you'll notice there is an edit line here. That is a copy and paste. I mean, it is clearly seen when you blow that up. And you can also see that this is a copy and paste because, well, it looks like everything's been bold-faced, but the reason for that is because it ended up missized. When you missize something, essentially, it takes away clarity, unless you go in and you spend a lot of time with it. Now, from there, you have the next part.
Which you would think if the New York Times is faking evidence, then they would at least take the time in their 4 years that it took them to put this together, to at least not butcher the text that they're trying to cut and paste together. But the truth will always come out. The real truth eventually comes out. So thank God they didn't do a good job at piecing all this evidence together.
Problem too, and a big one at that. Again, you can see the cut in. That is my fault. Plus, it'll take away noise that's here. But it says, this is Brand. I'm very sorry. You don't need to get tested. I will make this up to you somehow with live and kindness. Not my original idea, which was more sex. You've been lovely to me, and I'm embarrassed by my behavior. Sorry, it notes, will you ever forgive me? And again, when you scroll to the bottom, you have up the graphic by the Times and the Sunday Times. Now, when you look at this, you'll notice first and foremost that it is not aligned correctly. This is actually slanting over to the side. Why is that? Well, this is a copy and paste job too. And in fact, it looks like somebody took a little more time when copying and pasting that, because you don't have any noise that's outside of this, but you'll notice there's noise all over every word here. It cuts into it. That noise is not caused by the words. You can see that clearly. Otherwise, it would bleed down. This, like I said, is somebody copying and pasting it. And when you blow out, when you actually see this, that is not noticeable. It's only when you start looking at the details. You'll also notice that there is a date stamp that looks like it's missing. I mean, typically, you'll see the date above something. That's the way it looks like it's presented here. Well, you don't have a date or a time stamp that comes across right there. You'll also notice too, this is off angle, but The
You ever
date here
forgive me?
is actually on angle, which means this wasn't cut as a block of text. This stuff was cut in singularly. You have this part. Again, you can see that it's somewhat off, but it's straighter here. This is perfectly straight. This comes in at an angle, and all the noise there. You can see the noise. It's also showcased as a problem as well. You can also see at the bottom here, when you look at the bar across the bottom, it looks like it has its issue. But when you look at this all together, I mean, again, context to this. The context is not correct. I'm not talking about the other issue, which is an issue to discuss all of its own, but this again was presented as a no means no situation. You have them saying, hey, look, this is what he did. He's even saying sorry. And like I said, there's no disclosure here that this thing was ever manipulated at all. They present it as if it is not manipulated from go.
That's a very big problem. That's a very big problem. For the New York Sunday Times, who took 4 years to investigate this case, which we're going to talk about the article itself, the problems in the way that they present things. I mean, typically, you don't need an investigative reporter to track down people and try to see what you can get them to say. Victims typically come forward because they feel like they need the healing, because it was traumatic, and because they need to finally get it out. That wasn't the case here. And I have yet to see one victim's name that's not anonymous, one credible text that's not doctored and butchered and put together. There's a lot wrong with this story. There's a lot wrong with this narrative. You'd think if the Sunday Times had taken 4 years to put this together, that they might have done a better job. It leaves a lot of doubt in my mind and a lot of questions that need answers.
Right here, it looks like it is one singular item. And well, when you have something like that, it makes you question everything that comes after.
Now, ironically, as this was happening, or maybe not so ironically, I was on the verge of sending Russell Brand and uploading my Exposing Elon Musk series. And in that, I go into the attack of mainstream media on a small channel like mine, as well as censorship across the board. This happened to me after I uploaded my now viral first Exposing Elon Musk video, which talks about his link to the original Johnny Depp UK trial, as well as his links to The Sun and the corrupt nature of the trial itself. It brings into question his ethics, as well as whether or not he has a narcissistic personality. Now, that was important because after that, my channel began getting copyright strikes. Videos were demonetized. They were censored and taken down. I was able to still keep my video on how the mainstream media was censoring myself, as well as other YouTubers like That Umbrella Guy, who are known for their defense of victims, because as well as the problem with the Me Too narrative, which aimed to cancel certain high-profile figures that the powers that be, I guess, no longer either wanted a scapegoat or they just no longer wanted them to be in power. It was time for a change in management, and that's exactly how it went down. And it evolved into what we now know as cancel culture. Whereas really heinous crimes and behavior goes unnoticed, unpunished, without consequence. And yet, certain targeted selected people are canceled for anything.
Honestly, I feel like we just need more information before we actually decide who to believe in this one, because I do believe some of these allegations seem credible. If they are verified, Russell Brand absolutely has some questions to answer, in my opinion. And it was kind of shocking to see so many people rush to his defense before they could even read the piece. I mean, guys, due process has to go both ways.
It's funny, someone like Andy Signor at Popcorn Planet commenting something like that, specifically just because I am someone who has followed Russell Brand's channel for 4 years. I understand his beliefs and what he stands for as a person. Now, I understand that most of us wear these masks, and we are so terrified of showing our true identity, to the point that this persona that we live is so inauthentic, and that's what causes things like depression, unhappiness in general, and many other mental illnesses, as well as addiction and disease. It stems from our living our life in an inauthentic way. And Russell Brand left Hollywood because that is precisely what he was trying to not rebel against. Because rebelling sort of implies that you're rebelling against something, but when you are living in your authentic truth, then that is actually just who you are. And everything that I've seen in the last 4 years, and that's the reason that his audience stands with him, because they know the truth of what he believes. The article aimed to say something like that he has transformed himself into this guru, and he goes around like pretending to be one thing and another in order to be successful in the avenues that he's been successful in. And the ironic part is that he has done precisely the opposite. And that is exactly the reason why his followers and fans stand by him, because they know the truth of who he is. This reminds me a lot of the Johnny Depp case and the way that I knew from Amber Heard's first accusation that she was lying. But I am someone who stands with victims. I stand with victims. And victims can be both men and women. And in situations where people are accused falsely, then they are the victim. And we do need to stand by truth. Stand by truth. Not by genders, not by how much power or money or influence you have in the mainstream media, but by truth. And the truth is that Russell Brand hasn't put on these masks in order to be successful. He has taken them off. And he has stood in authenticity and truth against the mainstream media. And it's true that his followers, as he said, myself included, have advised him to be careful, because I was wondering prior to all of this, when I was going to send him my Exposing Elon Musk series, exactly how the mainstream media might come for him. And I'm glad at least it was not an attempt on his life or anything like that. But they'll destroy it in any way, by any means possible. And I've seen it happen time and time again, not just with Johnny Depp, but also in the censorship of my material, just a small little channel that most people would consider to be insignificant. And yet they are so threatened by it. And why would power be threatened by me? That gives me pause to consider, is power threatened by him? He has made some very, very powerful enemies, particularly in the things that he advocates for, such as questioning vaccine safety, holding people accountable, questioning the narrative of whether pharmaceutical companies are really out for our best interest, or is there a monetary incentive in keeping us sick and away from spiritual and holistic medicine and healing? And these are the kind of questions that are dangerous to the mainstream. And these are the kind of questions that, unfortunately, Popcorn Planet doesn't typically ask itself. And part of the reason why I wanted to show this is because I want you guys to see not only the representation, but what most, let's say, mainstream common people, even not the mainstream media itself, but maybe the mainstream alternative YouTube channels like this, and what they think when they just see and hear the accusations, and why that's so dangerous for all of us. Because with all the censorship going on these supposed platforms that are supposed to stand for our voice and our truth, then we're one step away from 1984. That umbrella guy is 100% right. And on that note, we have lots more to cover, so I'll see you in the next one. Videos and research take a lot of time and effort to do. So I want to do this full time. If you want me to do it full time too, then please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss one thing. See you in the next one. Remember to always question the narrative and never forget to speak truth.